Hiring the best candidates and then developing them into valuable employees are probably the most important things a manager will ever do. Unfortunately, not every manager takes hiring so seriously. Harvard Business Review estimates that 75% of all employee turnover is due to poor hiring decisions. Hi, I'm Alan Pratt, and I'll be your host for this program, interviewing techniques that help you hire the best. I'm also going to play the part of Dave Johnson, Field Service Manager at IT Source, a fictional firm. My job in this program is to show you a proven, time-tested technique for conducting high-quality job interviews that help you hire the best. The scenes in this program will show one-on-one interviews. Keep in mind that the techniques you learn here also apply if you use teams or panels to interview candidates. Uh-oh, here comes my boss.
Dave, when are you going to get the new systems technician on board?
Very shortly, Bill. Rich and I just spoke to 2 candidates yesterday, and we have 2 more scheduled for this afternoon. I plan to make an offer by the end of the week.
I cannot believe that guy we hired 3 months ago didn't work out. We need someone now.
You don't have to tell me. I'm the one who has to appease our clients and ask those other techs to work overtime.
Well, I just hope you find somebody who really works out this time.
Believe me, Bill, I have learned my lesson. I now know how to correctly interview job candidates.
I hope you're right.
I am. This technique really works. But before I learned this interviewing technique, I was like a lot of managers. I wasn't trained to interview or hire anyone. I just wing it during interviews, asking different questions depending on the candidate. And oh, did I ever pay for it. High turnover, poor employee morale, and a bigger workload for me. It was awful. But since I learned the interviewing and evaluating system I'm about to show you, I'm much more confident that I'll find the best candidate available every time, no matter what position I'm trying to fill. The process has 3 distinct stages. 1, prepare for the interview. 2, conduct the interview. And 3, evaluate the candidate. Preparing for the interview means putting together a set of probing questions and leading statements or prompts designed to give you insight into a candidate's job-related skills. The key is preparing the right questions. Too many interviewers ask job candidates the wrong kinds of questions, or only one kind. That's a mistake, because the interview is the best opportunity you'll have to learn about a candidate's skills, experience, and attitudes. Next, conduct the interview with the attitude that your job is to help candidates communicate the full range of their knowledge, skills, attitudes, and experience. Your mission isn't to pry information from candidates or to trick them into revealing something they don't want you to know. Your primary purpose is to make candidates comfortable enough so that they want to tell you everything. Finally, you evaluate the information you get from the interview in an objective way by creating your own job candidate evaluation form, which I'll show you later. Let's start with the prepare stage.
Well, where else would you start?
Meet Maggie. She's our human resources director. Maggie likes to joke around, but she really knows her stuff. In fact, she's the one who helped me and the other managers here learn this process. So why don't you go over with me again the 5 steps in the prepare stage?
Okay, Dave. And don't worry, you'll get it eventually. Step 1 is to review the position's job description. Take particular note of how the job contributes to the organization's mission and goals, duties and responsibilities, knowledge, skills, and abilities required, experience, education, and training needed, who the employee will report to, and who will report to the employee. And finally, any special requirements, such as licenses, travel, hours of work, or physical capabilities.
Okay, so we did that.
We, Dave?
Well, you did that, but we worked on step 2 together.
That's right, Dave. We met to identify the essential job functions, the 6 to 12 key duties and responsibilities of the job.
We came up with 9 key duties for a systems technician. Our list includes providing prompt and courteous service and troubleshooting on the spot across a variety of platforms.
And remember, Dave, we met to complete step 3, which is specify what's required. To do that, we broke down those job requirements into 2 categories. Do you remember what they are?
Technical skills and work habits.
Very good.
And let me anticipate your next question, Maggie. Technical skills are the knowledge a candidate must have, plus the ability to apply that knowledge using various tools and techniques to perform the job effectively.
Well, work habits describe how the candidate goes about applying his or her technical skills. Work habits reflect the candidate's combination of personal characteristics, values, and attitudes that determine how well he or she will fit into your organization's way of working.
So in our case, the skills list includes able to diagnose and repair information systems. Technical skills for some other jobs might be able to write press releases, use a computer spreadsheet program, or devise a profit and loss statement. In the area of work habits, our list includes personable and courteous, also detail-oriented. For other jobs, you may need to find out whether and how well a candidate can express self-confidence in both normal and stressful situations, motivate others to improve their performance, or adapt to changing circumstances.
Well, I'm impressed. So now we have two lists, one of technical skills that describe what the candidate needs to be able to do, and the one of work habits, which describe how the candidate should go about performing the job. And that means we can move on to step 4 of the prepare process, draft the interview questions.
That's right. And we use the lists of technical skills and work habits to create the questions.
Exactly. And the interview questions fall into 3 categories. Before you get to the technical skills and work habits questions, you want to find out the candidate's general qualifications and level of interest in the job.
Creating the right questions is probably the most important part of the whole process, because in this process, you must ask the same questions to all the candidates, and you'll make your hiring decision by comparing their responses.
Remember to make most of your questions open-ended. That way, candidates can't answer your question with a simple yes or no. They'll have to reveal more about themselves. Also remember, read your questions to each candidate so you don't alter them in any way from interview to interview. It's crucial that you ask all candidates the same questions so you can evaluate their answers fairly.
Let me illustrate the types of general questions that you should ask by flashing back to my first interview yesterday. Okay, Josh, tell me, what attracted you to our organization?
Well, actually, I've been doing...
This will tell you if the candidate is serious or just shopping. Real candidates know about your organization and your products or services.
to do that.
What are the major challenges you face in your current job?
Actually, I'd have to say one of the biggest...
This question tells you if the candidate's experience reflects the kind of problems and situations he or she will face in your organization.
What were your most significant contributions to your last employer?
Most of it was...
This lets you know if the candidate has the motivation to help your organization become more effective. Now, in what other ways have you made contributions to the success of your present organization?
This helps you determine how the candidate stands out from other applicants, and to what degree his or her contributions have helped the current employer.
Now, what special skills or talents do you have that would be of benefit to us? This question tells you if the candidate has skills that others don't, and whether he or she lacks critical skills or experience. What prompted you to begin the job search in the first place?
The biggest reason was
You want to uncover any problems on the last job, and whether this person is ready for new challenges.
I had meant to relocate for a while.
Are you satisfied with the compensation you receive for the work that you do?
Actually, it's a fair compensation, and I'm looking...
Try to find out if the candidate's compensation expectations are realistic and how your package compares. Now, let me ask you, what elements of your current job would you change if you could?
This lets you know what disappointments the person has experienced, and if he or she is likely to feel the same in your organization.
What other positions are you considering?
I'm obviously out there on the job search.
It's always good to know who else the candidate is talking to, and if he or she is focusing on one job, looking for a career change, or merely drifting. You know, I think those general qualification questions really worked out well, don't you?
Of course, I gave them to you. But I must admit, you came up with most of the technical skills and work habits questions. The key concept here is that past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. The goal is to help the candidates give you as much information as possible about their knowledge, skills, and work habits. You want to remain objective and keep the focus on past job performance, not try to probe for insecurity, trip them up, or develop a psychological profile with questions like, if you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be? You're not a psychologist, so stick to the questions that relate directly to the candidate's past job performance.
Keeping that in mind and using our technical skills list, we came up with open-ended questions designed to make sure whoever we hire will have the must-have technical skills the job requires. In other words, we created detailed questions about analyzing systems, such as, what diagnostic processes do you use to find and fix problems? Sample technical skills questions and prompts for other jobs might be, summarize your experience with desktop publishing programs. Or, what inventory control systems have you used? Or, tell me about the most difficult technical challenge you faced on your job in the past month.
Finally, the last category of interview questions, work habits, should focus on the candidate's experience in working for, with, or supervising others. Now, this is an extremely important part of the interview process because most job failures can be traced to a mismatch between the organization's way of doing the job and the employee's work habits.
So, based on our list of the work habits required for the systems technician job, we came up with questions and prompts that invite candidates to describe events in detail. One of our prompts was, all right, describe for me your worst experience with an angry customer and how you resolved the situation.
Example questions and prompts for other kinds of jobs are, recall an experience when you found it necessary to motivate someone to do a better job. Give me an example that illustrates your preference for working as a member of a team. And finally, describe a time when you couldn't motivate yourself to begin or complete a task.
So, now that we've carefully crafted our interview questions, we're ready to go to the next stage of the process, conducting the interview.
Not so fast, Dave. You almost forgot step 5 of the prepare stage. Review your questions for fairness and legality. This is critical because you and your organization can be sued if you ask the wrong kind of questions.
You know, you're right. You should avoid questions that request information about race, religion, nationality, age, citizenship, gender, marital status, children, disability, or veteran status.
Ask yourself, do I have a legitimate business reason for asking this? Is this question a true reflection of a job requirement? When the answers to those questions are yes, then you're ready to use your 3 lists of questions to conduct the interview.
Well, thanks, Maggie. I think it's about time for me to meet with our next candidate, so do you want to join me?
No, I think you can handle this from here on out.
Thanks. Moving on, the second stage of the interview process, conducting the interview, has 4 parts. 1, the pre-interview preparation. 2, the opening. 3, the body. And 4, the close. Right now, I'm beginning my pre-interview preparation. Excuse me. Mary, would you hold all of my calls for the next hour and a half, please? Thanks. That's step number 1. Arrange not to be interrupted. Most interviews should last between 45 and 90 minutes. Any shorter, and you may not be able to gather enough information. Any longer, and you may risk tiring, boring, or even irritating the candidate. The second step is to gather materials you want to give the candidate, such as organization brochures, ethics policies, benefits descriptions, or press clippings. The third step is to take a final look at the candidate's resume, the notes from your telephone screening interview, and any other relevant information you may have. Finally, make the interview setting comfortable. For example, sit at a table to conduct the interview rather than behind a desk, or reserve a small conference room as I've done. Now, I'm ready to open the interview. Hi, Janine.
Hi.
Thanks for coming. Dave Johnson.
My pleasure.
Have a seat, please.
Okay.
Notice that I greeted the candidate by name, and now I'll spend a few minutes talking to Janine to build rapport. A friendly, relaxed atmosphere makes conversation easier and tends to help candidates reveal more. So, did you have any trouble finding the place?
Oh, not at all. There was a little congestion around the new arena, but that's it.
You know, I think that's going to be a fabulous facility when they finish construction.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a great place to see a game.
Now, I'm just going to move right along with the opening. Watch the bottom of the screen for the list of steps I'm demonstrating. Okay, Janine, just so there's no misunderstanding, you're interviewing for the position of systems technician.
That's right.
Now, you'd be reporting to me. I'm the manager of field service, but you would get your daily assignments from Rich Franks, our operations manager. You'll meet with him next.
Sounds good to me.
Now, the interview should take about an hour. I'll go through 3 sets of questions: general background, technical skills, and your work habits. And you can ask any questions that you might have at the end, okay?
Okay.
Great. Now, to make sure that I remember everything you've told me, I'm going to take a few notes while we're talking, so please don't mind if I lose eye contact from time to time.
I appreciate your telling me.
Okay. Now, I just want to clarify one thing. Here on your resume, it says that you help train new technicians. What kind of training are we talking about? After I get the answer to that question, I'm ready to proceed to the body or main part of the interview. I usually begin with a review of the candidate's last or current job. This also helps build rapport as you relate to the candidate's personal situation. Tell me how you've grown in your current position. Then it's time to move to your 3 sets of prepared questions: general qualifications, technical skills, and work habits. Now, I've already asked Janine my list of general qualifications questions, so I'll move right along to my technical skills questions and then my work habits questions. Janine, tell me about your most challenging repair situation. While you're interviewing, seek a balance of information by asking about both strengths and weaknesses. Now, Janine, all of us have made a mistake that caused a problem for a customer. Tell me about a time when that happened to you.
Well, there was one time where I misunderstood the dispatcher. I thought that I was supposed to go to one customer, Goodman's Brake Rotors, when I was really supposed to go to Goodland's nursery. Well, they're about as far away from each other as our customers get. And needless to say, I messed up the entire schedule for the day and made some clients really angry.
Listen attentively and probe when you don't understand, need clarification, or want more information. So, how did your manager react, and what did your company do to make it up to the customer?
Well, since it was an honest mistake, and I'm generally very reliable, my manager didn't do anything to me. My company does some pretty special things to make it right with customers, although I'm not sure they'd want me to reveal them.
Okay, I understand. Now, tell me something that you think your company isn't so good at. Tell me something you'd do differently. Silence creates tension that can help the candidate come up with a thoughtful answer. But after 7 or 8 seconds, the candidate may become too uncomfortable, so you should relieve the tension. Take your time, Janine. It's a tough question.
Well, we do seem to be slow sometimes in ordering replacement parts. I remember this one time I was at this customer's down on King Street, or was it Oak Street? Well, anyway, I remember it was in this blue building right next door to the restaurant where my husband and I first went out. They have great food there, by the way.
Don't hesitate to interrupt if the candidate rambles on or if you need to clarify a point. Excuse me, Janine. I was interested in what you were saying about replacement parts.
Sorry. Well, I sometimes had to go out on call without some of the most common parts, and that can really frustrate customers.
Before we go on, I want to make one more important point. Try not to judge a candidate while the interview is in progress. This might cause you to alter your questions and not give everyone a fair shot. Stick to your prepared questions and do the evaluation later. Okay, now let's fast forward to part 4 of conducting the interview, the close. We begin to close the interview with what we call the 2-minute warning. The point is to give the candidate a chance to share any important information that you haven't already touched on with your questions. Well, Janine, we have just a few minutes left. Is there anything else you'd like to say about yourself or the job?
Well, I was wondering, where do you see this company, say, 5 years from now?
Sometimes during the 2-minute warning, the candidate will lead you right into the next part of the close, answering the candidate's questions. This is a good time for you to sell the candidate on your organization. After all, you want the candidate you pick to be eager to work with you. So explain the advantages your organization has over the competition and the career opportunities that await the successful candidate. But don't exaggerate or gloss over the job's challenges. Not only will the candidate find out the truth quickly, but you could also get into legal trouble if you misrepresent the job. The next step in the close is to tell the candidate what happens next. Well, thanks for your time, Janine. Next, you'll be meeting with Rich Franks. Rich and I should finish interviewing everyone by the end of the week. Then we'll pick the 3 top candidates and bring them back for an interview with the owner of the company. You can feel free to call with any questions that occur to you, or if you don't hear from us by the middle of next week. Oh, and by the way, may I have your permission to contact the references you gave us?
Oh, absolutely.
For legal reasons, you should get candidates written permission to contact their references. Also, never give candidates any feedback that indicates they have the job, such as, well, I have 2 other candidates to interview, but they don't have your qualifications. Just be fair and be professional. Okay then, we'll be in touch.
Oh, I look forward to it. Thank you.
Hi. How'd it go?
It went very well. And now I can get back to my busy schedule.
Not so fast, Dave. Right after the interview is the best time for you to review and flesh out your notes, while the candidate's answers are still fresh in your mind. Then, take 20 to 30 minutes to complete the 3rd phase of the interview process, the evaluation.
Oh, you're right. I should do this now. Here's the evaluation form I mentioned earlier. You should develop your own form, but you can use this one as a model. You take your 3 lists, general qualifications, technical skills, and work habits, and put each item on a grid next to a competency rating section consisting of boxes lined up under 3 headings: unacceptable, satisfactory, and superior.
After carefully considering your notes and recollections, rate the candidate from unacceptable to superior in each technical skill, work habit, and general qualification. Remember, during the interview itself, we advised you not to judge the candidate's answers to your questions. Now is the time, during the evaluation phase, that your judgment of the candidate's skill level, based on the information he or she gave you, comes into play.
If you don't have enough information because you got off track during the interview or you ran out of time, then you can check unable to evaluate. If necessary, you may have to contact the candidate for more information. After you've evaluated the candidate in every important technical skill, work habit, and general qualification, look over the form and make a tentative hire-don't hire decision.
Record any comments you feel are necessary to support your tentative hire-don't hire decision. That comes in handy when you compare evaluations with other people who have interviewed the candidate as well. Hi, Rich.
Hi, Maggie.
You ready to compare some notes?
I'm all set.
You two don't need me for this. Good luck.
See you, Maggie.
This is Rich Franks, our operations manager. He interviewed Janine after I did using the same interviewing system. So, how did you rate Janine on technical skills?
Well, I rated her superior on her knowledge of integrated systems and ability to troubleshoot, and then above satisfactory on all the others.
Really? No, I rated her superior in all technical skills. Okay, how about work habits?
Well, her work...
By comparing our ratings of Janine and the other candidates we've interviewed, Rich and I were able to identify 2 candidates whose combination of technical skills, work habits, and general qualifications met our needs. Of course, evaluation forms don't tell the whole story about each candidate. For example, you may want to hire someone whose work habits are strong, but who will need some technical skills training.
And then some skills, habits, or experience may be more important than others.
That's a good point, Rich. But in general, an unacceptable or below satisfactory rating under any technical skill or work habit represents a warning flag for that candidate. The questions you want to ask yourself about the candidate are, can we train this person adequately? Are we willing to accept a steeper learning curve for this candidate? And will the person fit well with the team despite his or her shortcomings in a particular work habit?
So first, we compare our individual ratings on a candidate. Then we compare the top applicants overall to each other.
Exactly. And if we find that we rate a candidate differently, we'll review our information on that candidate again until we agree on what the final rating should be.
You know, Dave, I feel so much more confident about my hiring decisions now than I ever did before.
I agree. But we've covered a lot here today, so why don't we summarize the whole process?
Well, we broke down the interviewing process into 3 stages: prepare, conduct, and evaluate. To prepare for the interview, review the job description, identify and list the essential job functions, specify the job requirements by making a list of technical skills and work habits. Then, based on your lists of requirements, draft your interview questions in 3 categories: general qualifications, technical skills, and work habits.
And the question should be open-ended.
Exactly. Then carefully review your questions for legality, being sure that you ask questions that only pertain to the job.
To avoid possible lawsuits.
Then, in the conduct stage, your pre-interview preparation includes making sure that you won't be interrupted, that the interview setting is comfortable, and that you're familiar with the candidate's name and information. Next is the opening, where you build a rapport, state the job, outline the interview process you'll follow, and let the candidate know that you'll be taking notes.
You know, taking notes is very important, Rich, but you have to remember not to evaluate the candidate during the interview. Wait for stage 3.
That's correct. Now, during the body of the interview, you review the candidate's job-related experience, asking the questions from your 3 prepared lists.
Plus, you should ask questions that probe both strengths and weaknesses. Listen carefully and probe for more detailed information. Use silence for productive tension, but interrupt if you must maintain control and clarity. And withhold your judgment on the candidate during the interview.
The whole point of the interview process is to find out about a candidate's past behavior, because that's the most accurate predictor of how he or she will perform for your organization. Interviewing is not an adversarial process, and it's not a psychological evaluation.
That's right.
Then you close the interview with a 2-minute warning, answer the candidate's questions, and sell your organization. Tell the candidate what happens next, and get written permission to contact their references. Don't forget, review your notes and fill out the evaluation forms as soon as you can after the interview.
That's right. And after you've done that, you can reach at least a tentative decision about how well that candidate meets your needs.
And when the whole process is finished, chances are you've chosen the best person for the job.
Keep using the process, and pretty soon you'll have a staff full of loyal, competent employees who work well together. Happy hiring. For Briefings Publishing Group, I'm Alan Pratt. The interviewing techniques you've just seen come from Dr. Del J. Still, author of High Impact Hiring and president of Management Development Systems, Dana Point, California. Dr. Still's workshop, Behavior-Based Interviewing, will show you how to skillfully apply these techniques to build a productive workforce, one that consistently outperforms the competition. As part of the workshop, you'll receive this comprehensive workbook and reference guide. It contains everything you need to develop and conduct high-quality interviews. Plus, you'll get some special checklists, tools, and job aids. Tools that'll help you become an expert interviewer. Find out how you can bring this practical, hard-hitting workshop to your organization. Call Management Development Systems toll-free at 1-800-353-1669 or visit their website at www.hireup.com.